Training camp is afoot, so there's a whole lot to talk about here, including a debut of an exciting new segment here on Splash Play, where I'm going to go through the top news items I think are most important here. I'm going to do it in the early part of the show. Of course, I'm already in a draft room, though. I'll be picking in spot number 4 here on stream for a glorious fantasy football draft. No names I know at all. I think Tim Souders might ring a bell, but I don't really know why. Besides that, it is a rando room here, so you'll see what we pull off from the 4-hole. And some of the news items I did want to talk about. So let's get into it. And I'm not sure, I might post this Google Doc I'm holding into the VIP Discord. Not sure yet, though, because I don't know if I want to see people, I don't know, people will be in the document the entire time, basically. But I'm going to at least talk about it every morning here. So news items I thought were of note today before we get to my pick, or I guess maybe after we get to my pick. Jaden Daniels throwing touchdown after touchdown. Unfortunately, one of them goes to Zach Ertz, but still productive start for Jaden Daniels, the kind of steam we want to see for him. Of course, I'm on the clock here, though. My exposures have been updated. Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, still holding them pretty close. Jamar Chase with the buzz cut. He and Joe Burrow both shaved their hair off. Does that matter? Should that affect my ADP right now on him? Honestly, I'm comfortable getting 8% on Jamar Chase. I got him yesterday. Not the biggest fan in the world of going out of my way to get the Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow stack. That Cincinnati double that I have some concerns about. That said, Chase's talent is still there. He is now playing for a contract he's not likely to get this year. Doesn't seem to be holding out for it either. So at this point, I think getting to 8% of him. Would love to get more Jefferson. Would love to get more Amon-Ra St. Brown. Would love to get more CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek. I think I still feel that way pretty strongly. But to even out my exposures, he's at a 4 ADP. I'll take him at ADP today. So Jamar Chase, come on down. Ertz is inevitable. I don't think so still. But, look, if the sign is there, he's playing with the first team to start. What are we going to do? GM finally got a Puka MHJ and sniped on Kyler and Stafford. Can't have nice things. Look, I can't even get the first part of the equation, so I get it. All right, other news items. So Deneric Prince takes the first carries behind Isaiah Pacheco. People panicking about that one. I have not been on Team CEH. I'm not really Team Deneric Prince either right now. I think both guys are competing for roles that are just pure contingent value for the most part. Pacheco's got the role. As I mentioned yesterday, some concerns for Pacheco. Puka and MHJ go at the 12-hole here. This is now, I think, the 4th straight stream in a row that Puka and MHJ have gone the 12-hole. Yeah, so overall for Prince and for CEH, I think the bigger concern is really Kadarius Toney coming in, getting RB targets at all. If he does that McKinnon role, he's not going to hold up as well in pass protection. He's big enough that he could theoretically be able to do it if he were willful about protecting well. But McKinnon also wasn't a great pass blocker either, just mostly kind of a barrier blocker who isn't really going to be somebody that holds up that long over the period of time. I think that it's still okay, obviously, for Pacheco at his current ADP. Just don't think he should get steamed up further. But I would say really those guys are just contingent value. So I wouldn't start getting excited about Prince, wouldn't start getting low on CEH. You just shouldn't have been taking CEH at all in the first place, I think. CeeDee Lamb holding out, not at camp. He's risking fines. That's a weird one. If he holds out into preseason games, the fines get really big. Don't think he can afford to hold out that long. So would assume that's a sign that a contract that they think they can press him to a contract fast, but bad strategic move by CeeDee Lamb that costs some money. Brandon Ayuk also holding in. No absolutes was the quote from John Lynch on there being a trade or not, though he does expect Ayuk to be a Niner. That to me is an important one because we've been on that team for a while now. Don't expect Ayuk to get traded. Still think there's probably a 5% chance he does. But at this point of the year, what are they going to get to upset their Super Bowl hopes? It's probably not going to be enough unless the team bowls them over with an offer. So that's the risk point right now. Other notes here, Matthew Stafford, Amari Cooper get reworked deals with new money. So those guys didn't get an extension, but did get new cash coming in. The Stafford deals terms weren't fully released. Amari Cooper, I think, got an extra $5 million and basically ended up with $80 million of his current contract guaranteed. And then he's still up in the air for next year. We got a pick coming up here. Daniel Jones, full go. All first team reps thought that was important. Thought that was going to be the case. But again, confirming priors here or new info are the things that I'm going to be marking every day news-wise. Right on the clock here, we have a falling Brandon Ayuk in a lot of rooms. Devontae Adams, who I took yesterday. This would be the exact same start as yesterday, which I'm not super stoked about. But it is a little bit of a discount on Adams on paper. So Devontae Adams, again, I'm fully getting the receiver steam, I guess, the Netflix show. I've been watching the show. Devontae Adams' journey. I haven't finished it yet. So I'm sure it'll end. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end for Devontae Adams. I know it's going to end with the Niners Detroit stuff. But for Devontae Adams, I think the hope at this point is just he's locked in. Do you think it's getting closer to being Aiden O'Connell at QB for that team? We'll see. Gardner Minshew, obviously, in the mix, has big money. But Adams has political stroke there, and it does feel like he is pushing for Aiden O'Connell and some of the recent podcast stuff that he's done. And it seems like from what we've seen so far, or at least that I've seen so far on the receiver show. Chiefs gives the RB2 an early series or an entire series every few series historically. Also move guys around and up and down the depth chart in camp. I still think historically, I'm saying primarily contingent value is what they represent ADP-wise. Getting one drive doesn't do a lot for you. I still think CEH to me was always kind of a historical bags packed, wish casting play for people that he's going to suddenly come back in, get more workload here. Everything they've done move-wise, including last year, was more and more work for Pacheco. So my bet is still a Pacheco bet fundamentally. 0020 here. Would have been willing to take Achane at 28, but he goes DK Metcalf here. I think yesterday I took Neighbors in the spot. My Cooper Kupp exposure is low, and I don't really want to keep holding up this lineup necessarily. Some positive camp steam for DK Metcalf. People finally catching up that Ryan Grubb is the OC there, and Ryan Grubb created tremendous production for his receivers at Washington last year. So we'll go with him as a third receiver. Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, theoretically live for late QBs. Maybe could even take Joe Burrow today. We will see. Other news items here. We got Mike Williams expected to be ready for week 1. So that's a good one for people out there like me who are fading Garrett Wilson. In general, though, Mike Williams has been falling because he's on the PUP list. I think he's down 10 spots in ADP in a lot of drafts lately. Do you think if you like the Jets, take Mike Williams? Even if you don't like the Jets, Mike Williams is not a bad pick. Marshawn Lloyd's hip issue, very minor, according to Matt LaFleur's exact quote. So not worried about that one. If it leads to any fall in ADP, I'm going to end up with 60% Marshawn Lloyd in my drafts. Antonio Gibson on the NFI list should be back relatively soon. Do think, though, if he's out for a little bit longer than expected, is an opportunity for Kevin Harris or JaMychal Hasty? Maybe. Hasty, a decent pass catcher. Harris, I think, has been a better goal line back so far, but he can theoretically do a little bit of both. But it's an open door now, a little bit left by Antonio Gibson, unless he's back, this weekend. But that's something to watch. Obviously makes Ramondre feel even better at ADP with that new contract. But I think it's interesting. Gallup retiring is a news item. I didn't have it on my list, but it might matter for some of you guys who are maybe chasing him returning to form. But Michael Gallup retiring, I don't have a single share in the big board or in BBM, so it was not an item for me to worry about. Rest of the news items I have on my list. Ricky Pearsall on the NFI list due to a hamstring issue. So that one doesn't really affect me too much, but does make the bet a little bit worse for him. Ayuk in camp, Ricky Pearsall NFI list. Two things you don't want to see hand in hand if you've been taking Pearsall at ADP. Greg Dulcich returning to practice. And at the same time, Sean Payton dampens the Lucas Kroll hype. Some reporters were asking about him being the best player in camp or in mini camp. Sean Payton was like, no, he's not. It's actually these other guys. It's Patrick Surtain and Quinn Miners, I think is who he said. Point being, doesn't seem like the Lucas Kroll hype is maybe quite as big, or if it is, Sean Payton really wanted to dampen it quickly. Besides that, for the Broncos, Bo Nix in open competition right now with Jared Stidham, Mac Jones, same thing. Zach Wilson, guys competing there, sharing snaps fully. So still expect Bo Nix to win out. Maybe a faint shot he doesn't win out for week 1. Would like to see more positive signal for Bo, but Bo's been doing the work. I think that's the most positive signal. Miners is so good, man. He's also got that big old belly. Got a big old Santa Claus belly. Poor Gallup. Yeah, Gallup got hurt, and that was it. There's a world where he could have kept being in the Brandon Cooks role, but then he got hurt, and Brandon Cooks became a better version of him, or, already was a better version of him. Tough scene. Joe Burrow, by the way, looks stupid is my last headline. Joe Burrow cut his hair, lost his aura, according to the kids out there, but definitely does not have the sexy flow anymore. He's now gone buzz cut, blonde Eminem style for some reason, which maybe he got white hairs. It's easier to dye your white hairs blonde is what I've learned. Not that I'm dyeing them blonde, but it's an option. It's always an option. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he would do that. Not a great look. It feels like his Justin Bieber becoming a rebel phase is what Joe Burrow is going through right now. We got a pick going up here, though. Oh, Burrow also fully cleared. I guess should be all good. Laporta falls to 44 here. Not that I would have taken him necessarily, but it would have been an option. Oh, I am so low on T. Higgins. I am so low on T. Higgins. I think all of these guys here are better plays. Oof. You can also get Amari Cooper for the week 16 correlation. You know what? If Higgins comes back to me, I'll take Higgins. I'm not going to go out of my way for the Cincinnati double. I should make another week 10 bye is not great for this team either, though. So that's what a week 10. Every week there's a new bye that just sneaks up on me in a certain build in a draft. And week 10 is kicking my ass this week. 4 receivers start. T. Higgins does go. Oh, well, we'll have to watch out for that guy when it comes to Joe Burrow selection if we do that later. We got Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper. And hey, correlated for Cleveland, Cincinnati in week 16. So increase our EV heading into the finals, right? That's all we can do. But I hope the bye week bros are going to be happy with a lot of late receivers who are not in round 10. At least get a few. I think Burrow's aura has gone up. I don't know, man. The blonde haircut does not. The flowy look, man, he was killing it with that. He looked great. He's appealing to all the Taylor Swift girls out there who they don't want to see buzz cut Eminem. They don't need that. Lamar goes here at 50. Not to the Mark Andrews drafter. Nobody's taken Mark Andrews yet. Trey McBride goes 51. Interesting room. Okay, so T. Higgins is gone. Cincinnati, Vegas, Seattle. Keenan Allen here. Terry McLaurin here. Like, I am just so heavy on these guys. Can up my Jaden Reed, but he's going downwardly. I'll up my Mark Andrews. Would like to do it in a lineup where I have some sort of Houston bet, but Andrews at 52 without Lamar, I don't think that happens very often. I feel like usually the person who's drafting where I am would have taken Lamar or taken Andrews and tried to push Lamar. I think the spot usually ends up with both those guys. So maybe that makes it a little bit more interesting. Maybe it just makes me a weaker bet compared to the players that are going to have that correlated. We'll go Andrews. So team so far, we got Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper. A little bit of a discount on Adams, a little bit of a discount on DK Metcalf, pretty decent discount on Amari, who's coming back up now that the contract stuff has been solidified. So intriguing team here. I think these top 4 guys are pretty good, and the week 10 buys feels unique. Don't think I've been worried about week 10. Yeah, I don't think I have either. All right, well, Tim is a new member here. So Tim is in the draft room, and he's a new member. So hey, welcome to the family, Tim Souders. Appreciate you joining here and supporting the show. It does go a long way here as we're trying to make it work, especially as Spags gets broker by the day funding a startup. So please, thank you, Tim, and go get your 10 team reviews on Discord, a VIP Discord, and also my rankings with over 275 blurbs. Tim, Tiny Tim, welcome to the family. I don't know if you're Tiny Tim. I don't want to offend you. Welcome to the family. Got to come with a mafia name. Tiny Tim feels like a good one. Where's 2024 is Jerry versus Spag? Jerry, you tell me. Jerry, where's the debate, Jerry? Dalvin Cook looking good. Or is it Dalvin Cook again? Are you still taking Dalvin? I don't know, Jerry. What's your hottest take? What's your biggest stand? I'll push back on it. Potentially. Adam standoff is inevitable. Only room in here for one Adam? No. We got new Adam. We had like 3 Adams now. We're racking up Adams left and right. No Eves. Unfortunately, just a bunch of Adams docking together. Italian depression equals instant like. Thank you. It's the one bit that we've kept. I don't do much. I still do enough shtick. Not as much shtick as Pete and I were doing. We got really heavy on shtick for a while there. Now we still have to keep some shtick and not too much, but I still get to focus on gambling primarily. Joe Mixon coming back would have been tempting for that Andrews correlation. Not going to get him here, unfortunately. Jake Ferguson at 63. No, thank you. This motherfucker went at 94 in a draft last week I was in. The pick before me, of course. Ferguson at 63. Oof. That's steam, huh? All right, Beta G. What is Beta G going to do? Does scoop AR. I would have been happy to scoop AR at this point. Let's see. Correlation-wise, I think the pick would be Romo Dunze for a different version of Seattle-Chicago. I feel like I have a good amount of Metcalf and Allen paired together. Could end the RB run again. I've been falling fucking dick forward into Kenneth Walker lately. I think Odunze, I don't really want to be under on Odunze. He might get cheaper. I guess it'd be one reason to stay under on him for now. We'll take Odunze here as wide receiver 5. So Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Romo Dunze, and Mark Andrews. So 0 RB start. Don't foresee this being an extreme 0 RB team, but it all depends what we get on the way back. Dalvin Cook is on your radar this year. There you go. Fair enough. Oh, it's unstacked Stroud too for this guy. Oh, yikes. Yikes. That's not good drafting. Hey, again, this is why I do the weirdo rooms to get guys like the guy in the 10 hole. People didn't like the 1 holes draft either, where he did take Travis Kelce and Mahomes at the 2-3 turn. And then he adds Evan Ingram on top. Look, I want to be in these rooms. I don't need Mike Leone taking Trevor Lawrence from me. I need these guys. Poor Ken Walker. I mean, I'll keep scooping. I said it, mid-70s Ken Walker. A lot better than 60s Kenneth Walker. And Kenneth Walker, local beat guys talking about Walker as though he is a lock to get a good role. He goes at 74 here, so we won't get him back. Doesn't really matter that much. David Montgomery, always happy to scoop more of. Ramondre with the pup list stuff, kind of interesting. A little bit of a fall for Brian Thomas to the point where do extreme 0 RB here. I think another RB makes sense. David Montgomery is really never getting by me at pick 75-ish. So David Montgomery, first RB off the board. 23% David Montgomery, quietly one of my biggest bets on the year, which you can see, of course, on the screen thanks to bestballoverlay.com. Go check out bestballoverlay.com. Promo code SPLASH on there gets you $10 off in your first month. Normally it's $30. You get your first month for $20. And again, it does add value, especially now that we're in the home stretch of drafting. If you're drafting on your laptop, especially, having your exposures here, being able to balance it out, seeing who you're low on, trying to get where you need to go. That is a big part of the process here that I'm glad to have the Best Ball Overlay tool for. And hey, drafters too. If you draft on Underdog a lot, of course, like I do, 5 days a week, I draft on Underdog. I love my day on drafters on Saturday. Go check it out. Full point PPR. That is a big difference there, and no pods. So you're not competing against people here. Here, I'll get to take the benefit of competing against guys that take CJ Stroud and Jake Ferguson unstacked and some other stuff. But when you're in a tough pod, it's not a good time. Playing in no pods, total points, full point PPR for 17 weeks is a pretty good deal. So check out Drafters, drafters.com. Use promo code SPLASH on there, and that does support the show. And your support right now would be appreciated. If you're going to do anything right now that gets me money fastest, it's drafters.com. So please go check it out. And for yourself too, big rake back on that. Guy Robert Griffin the Turd ended up putting in like $100, and then I think ended up with like 12 drafts for free, basically. Because of what the promo code they had going over the weekend, where if you did 5 drafts, you got one for free. A lot of free drafts on drafters. Got to give them credit. Falling dick forward into someone is going into my lexicon. There we go, Christopher. We're growing together. We're growing together. Pittsburgh are in playoff contention, and Russell starts the season as he stayed a starter, barring injury, yeah. I think it's a really micro outcome where Fields plays this year, to be honest. Like, I think it's got to be that Russ craters. Russ gets hurt. I mean, those are the ones really. And Russ is going to defend this job to the death because there are not a lot of starting jobs left for him. He's likely getting squeezed out either way, I guess, to be the flip side of that. There's a chance that if Fields has a really good camp, it was actually in the Athletic write-up for the Steelers, I think in their preview, was that they might extend Fields now. Burrow goes unstacked at 89. This guy loves Joe Burrow's blonde hair and couldn't resist it. So we're out of Joe Burrow business, and it's not by choice for today. Let's see. All right, pick coming up here. Tolan wants a recap of the team. We'll take a look in a minute. Okay, ADP-wise, Jonathan Brooks falling again because he's not participating in camp. Adding him with Montgomery feels pretty good. Swift correlates with our bets more. Dak, Jordan Love, not an option. Cortland Sutton is. But we will go Jonathan Brooks. Getting a little more Zach Moss would be fine. I think Zach Moss may come down because of the positive talk Zach Taylor had yesterday about Chase Brown and his role. I'm heavy on Chase Brown. I'm low on Zach Moss. So that should be a tiebreaker to make me take more Zach Moss in these kind of spots. But I do think with just the fact that I drafted Moss with Chase yesterday, I'm just going to deviate here. So the team so far, you have 2 running backs, David Montgomery and Jonathan Brooks, and we did just pass on Zach Moss for now. Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Romo Dunze, and elite tight end, slightly discounted Mark Andrews without Lamar, which, again, doesn't happen very often. And we'll see what we do at QB. Obviously, a lot of late candidates. One coming up right now. Joe Burrow is gone, though, so he will not be a Joe Burrow team today because he lost his aura, and we can't live with that. Before the next pick, guys, if you're watching live or after the fact, please do subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Appreciate your support a bunch here. Of course, I'm a solo proprietor trying to make it work, showing you my work here every day. If you disagree with my takes, then there's some obvious stuff you can fade. But please just show the love here if you're watching the show on a regular, because I need it right now, honestly. I need it. Channel needs to make more money. It needs to be more successful. Or else I'm going to be fucking driving for DoorDash. Hopefully not literally. 0251. No disrespect, though, because my CTO is doing that right now for probably. We have running back be a good one right now. We do have the bet on Cleveland. Could make it bigger with Njoku and just be done at tight end. Tyjae Spears probably coming up. Pollard coming down. Jaden Daniels unstacked. I will go Njoku here. I think going tight end, being done at that position works. Believe we could still hit RB coming up. Feels like RB value is going to be pushed down a little bit because of the fact that most of these guys went pretty heavy early RB capital. These are badgeless drafters, so they can keep taking RBs forever, and that might be the way they approach things. But for right now, I think we'll be able to get some more RB values coming up. And this obviously makes me very live for Deshaun Watson and no real Miami Oppo correlation, it looks like. Sweet start. Thank you. Smash the like button. I appreciate that. Nice draft going. And no Puka Harrison drafts yet. They've not occurred. I'm only drafting on stream for right now. So if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen here live on camera, and you will see my reaction. The Chad gets Jaden Daniels. Oh man, I'm the virgin. He's the Chad. Taking my sweet Jaden. Jaden, though, gotta tell you, and he does have Terry McLaurin, so good for him. Every time Jaden and Terry McLaurin goes together, Angel gets its wings. I really do feel like for Jaden, just the start he's having, like you follow the beat reporter accounts, it was like Jaden Daniels 4 for 4 touchdown, Jaden Daniels 3 for 4 touchdown, Jaden Daniels 4 for 5 touchdown. Like he really just did the thing that I think he's going to do over and over again in the NFL. Obviously, it's against his own shitty defense. The Commanders' D is probably one of the worst in football. So if you want to downgrade what he's doing in camp so far, you can downgrade it because A, it's day one of camp, and B, he's doing it against their awful defense. And also, he did start behind Marcus Mariota because God forbid we don't put Jaden Daniels in line. Let's send him a message that the number 2 pick is not immediately the starter. But point being for him, he just is doing exactly what he has to do right now. I'm excited to see it. Topic of the queue is wide receiver for your first 7 rounds. Pretty crazy how anti-wide receiver this room has been. Yep, that's basically it. There's only Chase Brown news, never Zach Moss. I still think Zach Moss is likely to get, the power back carries, the goal line carries. Like that's where he's going to add the most value. Yeah, that said, Chase Brown, I've made the bet for a while now. I do worry, like he really was shit at Illinois, getting 28 touches a game. That's 28. 28's a lot for anybody, but he didn't show out with those 28. I think there is an issue for Chase Brown. For me, I don't want him getting 25 really. I mean, I guess honestly, if he gets 25 a game, that's probably a tremendous value at his current ADP. But like he'll be more efficient getting 15 to 20 as his max. He's young Tony Pollard. It's like people want to see the guy get more touches, and the guy gets more touches and he fucking goes to shit. He's not really meant to get more touches. But to me, like Chase Brown, a lot of people will get compared to Tony Pollard, I think, in general these days. He's like the most young Tony Pollard. He really is. He's fast, and he probably isn't meant to get 20 a game. 0252 build here. Caleb hanging around. We also can shore up RB. We can make a bet on Chase Brown here now that I'm filleting him lightly on stream. And I can do that. I think Chase Brown to me feels this year like a 25% play. A little bit of a discount on Caleb Williams, but we don't need to be there right now. We need to make it up at RB more. We have enough late QB outs. That's basically my logic here. Caleb is a pure luxury. If he comes back the next pick, might take him there. Right now, we're going to push him around. 28 touches per game behind that Illinois offensive line. Yeah, not good. Not good. It was just like, it was a not good scene. Granted, you're right. Like, that's a lot of touches behind a team that's not good as well. But to have that much volume and also not, have outlier plays, really not have great success against good teams, I think that's where Chase Brown, to me, But if, again, don't look the gift horse to the mouse. If the NFL team is going to give him 28 touches a game, what are we going to do? It's not the best version of himself, but that much volume would be ridiculous to get at pick 117. Also wanted to admit something to the chat. I have started the American Sweethearts DCC. What? What? I have no idea what those words mean together in that context at all. This guy takes, oh my God. Caleb Williams goes, okay, he stacks him up with Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet, 25 picks ahead of where he normally goes. This guy just has no sense of draft value. The team he's building is correlated, I guess, a little overstacked for KC perhaps. But it's just like you got to maybe get guys a little bit more of a value. You don't need to reach for Cole Kmet. All right, we're on the clock here, 0352. So the Caleb Williams option is gone. We might as well keep making RB better. Slight discount on Gus Edwards. Jerome Ford correlates better with the Cleveland bet. And I think we're going to just correlate better. Corum, I want to be at 8% on Corum, I guess. Mostly in and that's where I have Arizona, I think. That's where I'm going to do that for the Week 17 correlation. So team so far, a 0-4-5-2. We have David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, Chase Brown, Jerome Ford. Wide receiver, we have Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, and Romo Dunze. And a tight end, Mark Anderson, David Njoku. So a little heavy at capital at tight end, which can throw off the equation a little bit. But obviously, I'm comfortable going away from receiver for a little bit, given that we went for 5 in our first 6 rounds. Doing new and old Mahomes out of the hole. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't think Komet's new Travis Kelce, though, if I had to guess. Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders is crack. Oh, my God. Yeah, no. I have not watched a scene of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders reality show. I imagine it's not, like, sexy. I imagine we're not getting, like, HBO Cat House, I don't think. If you want to go with a dated reference there, that somebody out there is going to appreciate. But I'm happy, you should be happy to share. It's a safe place to share. Unless you're me, then I get weirdo tweets from people that tag Justin Herzig if I say that I disagree with his Khalil Herbert, DeAndre Swift take. Some guy who downvotes every video but watches every stream, tweeted Justin Herzig and was like, Spags said that you were wrong about Khalil Herbert and DeAndre Swift, which he is wrong about. I fundamentally believe that. But you don't need to tag people and tell them on Twitter while calling me a hack. Tattletales. Unbelievable. Bring back Cat House. It was a weird show, man. And I'm sure that guy did some awful things. I would have to imagine. Gamblestein. I'm not shocked it's a PLC. Cat House and Taxi Cab Confessions. Yeah, that was the duo. And then when I was really young, I feel like Real Sex was like, oh man, you're 11 years old and that show's on with the nudist colonies, and they're like, whoa. Or like them talking about scientific sexual things like how the clitoris works. You're like, whoa, they said clitoris. I don't know. we're in round 12. This is where the combo goes on Splash Play in round 12. 6th round RB will get more touches than the RB they paid 3. Yeah. That's look, I think Khalil Herbert, I think there's a lot of people who got him as a discount, saw him be good for a few years, and they're like, man, why does the team see it like I do? And I don't think that's how that's going to go. But we'll see. Uncle Rico Dowd will be a top 17 RB this year, just like Pollard did in 2022. They trust Zeke too much. I think Zeke gets all the high value touches, would be my point of concern, but he might be right. Kendre here would be okay. Discount on Mike Williams again when we know he is playing in week 1 or is expected to be playing in week 1. I think Kendre is the better pick right now to give us some oppo for Las Vegas and to not make me take Marshawn Lloyd for the 100th time. But Mike Williams, honestly, big enough discount, Kendre might come back. So we'll roll the dice. We'll roll the dice. I think Mike Williams at 141 is a little too low. Going behind Gabe Davis, who, granted, Gabe Davis involved in the red zone for Jags camp so far, think had 3 different red zone targets in the first set of plays for Jacksonville today. Don't think that he's a better player than Mike Williams, though. The very least, they're 1-to-1 plays. Kamani Vidal and Estime, I agree with half of that. It's not the Kamani Vidal side, but it's possible. Kamani Vidal, just to bet on, this new regime taking him in. Still like Isaiah Spiller, though, still live for that spot. And Vidal playing at Troy was not great. He was okay. He was not great. Got Big Mike at 156. That's crazy. It's an overreaction to a thing we already knew. Anything that's an overreaction to things we already knew, we've known Mike Williams is going to be out for a year since, day 1 that he got hurt. Now it's we know he's going to be back in time for the first start. They don't expect him to be on the PUP list. And even if he is in the 150s, he could be on the PUP list. God forbid he rebounds. He's also huge leverage against Garrett Wilson, huge leverage against Breece Hall having the outlier days in week 17. There's a lot of logic for Mike Williams. I'm I'm not Mike Williams stand number one, but he was really good before he got hurt last year in a Kellen Moore offense. I don't, there's a lot of things I'll disagree with ADP wise over the course of a year. That's definitely one of them. Kendra Miller, of course, goes the pick before me. Thought we would get the thing we are going to go for last pick, comfortably falling back to us. Not the case here. Then we got to start thinking about QB a little bit. I'm going to just go to Deshaun. Reaching for him, but trying to push him around at this point with his bet on Cleveland and everything evaporating. I think we need Deshaun more than anything else. So you've seen here, I've pushed QBs a lot on stream. Today, I take this one 11 picks early because I'm just not comfortable waiting around for it, going all the way around this way. So Deshaun Watson, QB1 here. David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, Chase Brown, Jerome Ford are our RBs. Of course, Ford correlating the aforementioned Deshaun. Jamar Chase, our Week 16 Oppo. Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Romo Dunze, and Mike Williams. It doesn't correlate with anything, but I think too cheap in the 140s, let alone 150s. Tight end, we got pretty elite here. Mark Andrews and David Njoku stacked up with Watson. We do have to get some non-Week 10 bye receivers in, at least one more, I would think. And probably two more RBs, one or two more QBs. We shall see. Debating on building some jet stacks on his ADP, honestly. Yeah, I mean, look, you could. I think still the issue is that you have to pay the price you have to pay for Garrett Wilson. Like, I think that's a steep price tag for a guy that I just think with how he's played. I know people will go the QB. There's bad QB play everywhere, guys. There's still outlier players having great years amidst bad QB play. George Pickens would be one who would say hello, I think, in that situation. But that said, Garrett Wilson, I think, is like the tough part. If you don't get Garrett Wilson in a Rodgers stack, you're basically, it needs to be your secondary stack, and you're just trying to beat out like your Wilson Brees teams. It's feels a little bit lean to me if you were your QB1, if you're your primary stack. But sure, anything can work ultimately. Anything that's, structurally sound, has good draft capital allotment can work. Player I'm most scared of is Achane. So hard to click him at his current price when you need wide receivers. Yeah, I mean, Achane is going to give you some big days, you would think. There is still the faint hope that he could be Christian McCaffrey. I think that's in the range of outcomes. I also think it's in the range of outcomes. We have Mostert leading that backfield for most of the year, and they're trading big days back and forth. And we're in a similar scenario to last year. That is, I think, still there. And with that price tag for Achane, it could be tough to be in that kind of situation. And God forbid there's any run bad for Achane on touchdowns where he got pretty touchdown lucky last year. If he gets touchdown unlucky this year, you're looking at not high yardage days, and one touchdown's not going to do it for you with where you're taking them. But could go great though. Like, I still think Achane, all the metrics I swear by, EPA especially, Achane was the most efficient running back to play football in a long time. So at that level of volume. People debating QJ here. QJ has small hands, couldn't catch a cold in a wet market. Okay. I think QJ, the downside is that he's playing behind Shark to start. He's still a viable play to me. 1462 here. Bucky, I feel like the coach speaking next guy is single-handedly trying to steam down Bucky. And some concerns for pass protection with Bucky for sure. Kamani Vidal, Jermaine Burton does align with Chase. We can make an anti-Higgins bet. But we also can build more Cincinnati-Denver, and I think that's a logical move. I'll get McLaughlin here. I am still obviously very heavy on Audric Estime. You could make my bags be packed for Estime now, and I'd probably be good with him in the 18th round. I would like to get a little more McLaughlin. Feels like his role has gotten more solidified. He's been doing great work. Was the first guy in. The stereotype, of course, for a little guy, he's got to be the first guy in minicamp. Sure, he'll show out well enough in the pass game role. And Blake Watson starting on the NFI list for Denver probably matters a little bit for McLaughlin. Just helps him keep him at bay fully. That's two guys who have no draft capital going their way. All right. J.K. Dobbins goes. We have a 1562 here. Jermaine Burton just hanging around. Why are people down on Burton? Because of the Yoshivas positive camp stuff? little baffled by the Burton fall. All right, Burton goes. I would have, I think, had to scoop Burton at that point if he had fallen back there. We've got 5 RBs, could use one more. But I think if we're going to build a Denver stack, we have to kind of get one of these guys now. Oh, I need to come down on Troy a little bit, I think. But is he still a better bet than Marvin Mims? He probably is. And Geno's here too. Fuck, I got to take Geno. I got to close the loop here on stacks. Ah, man. It's going to be tough to build out Denver for a third one now. Might still be possible. So it's a 2-5-6-2 build here. We have 2 week 10 buys. So that's why I was trying to set up Denver and didn't think enough that I just need to take Geno now. So 2 week 10 buys with Cleveland and Seattle, Geno Smith and Deshaun Watson. RB, David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, Chase Brown, Jerome Ford, Jaleel McLaughlin. I guess this could be done at RB, and we could still attack the third QB on and try to find a way to another stack. But it's a little bit, we'll see how it goes. Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Romo Dunze, and Mike Williams, and a tight end, Mark Anderson, David Njoku. The one thing I don't have to worry about at all is tight end. I feel like this team isn't bad. I just like the third stack is going to be important to figure out because there's kind of an obvious third stack to go with, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it. Not even doing drafts on Underdog. Just like to watch for the entertaining purposes. Spags, funniest. Thank you for calling me Spaz. But I appreciate it, Triple G's. That was mostly a very kind comment, and I appreciate it here. And hit the like button and subscribe, guys. Shout out guys like Triple G's, who I've not seen before, but very kind words to hear. I'm here every day, Monday to Saturday at 11 a.m., guys. That's the work here, and mostly doing it to gamble for myself, to build myself teams, give me a shot to win money. Of course, I do talk about the news every day, talk about my takes, talk about the game theory of it all, what other people are talking about. So please subscribe down below, hit the like button, and leave a comment. All your engagements go a long way here, especially because, you know, the haters are always out there. And again, promo code SPLASH on Underdog. Get up to $250 in bonus cash on there. Great way to support the show and your own bankroll if you're new to there. And if you're playing on Underdog already, go play on Drafters. Use promo code SPLASH on there for a $100 full deposit match. They have a $15 tournament with $500K to first place. 17 weeks, no pods, no playoff pods, full point PPR, full recommendation for Drafters as well if you are not playing on there. And Best Ball Overlay. I want to use the data I use on screen here. Get your exposures. DK Sportsbook lines, all that stuff here from Best Ball Overlay. And now we will sweat out these next 4 picks because there's one fun thing we can do. And nope, we're not going to get it. Troy Franklin goes at 185, which is completely fair. Wanted to see if we can get Franklin to set up Bo Nix. Instead, we're going to have to think about this a little bit. So Baker is here. Baker doesn't correlate with anything we have. Tez Walker correlates, same team correlation. I think we have to go Derek Carr here, who is my default. I made a mistake at QB. I need to dig out of it. Derek Carr, QB. We're going to try to put some sort of stack together with him going against Devontae Adams in week 17. And if nothing else, just having the opposite QB and Devontae Adams together for week 17, entirely possible that Carr just has an outlier week because there's a lot of scoring in that game. Obviously, you want to get the benefit of Carr's receivers with that. But at this point, you know, the receivers that I'm going to have potentially might not be the most useful. Anyway, this is one thing where I'm a little bit, I think it's a complicated thing to explain. When I have my first stack get sniped, like with the, like as the case with Jamar Chase, I do like trying to build out the opposite side of week 17, where if I don't have Burrow, then I can build the Bo Nix side. Same thing for Adams, where I don't want to really take O'Connell or Minshew. I can then build out the Carr side a little bit. Really not a 3 tight end build. This is the tough part. I think I'm going to, all right, I'm going to do something a little thin, but I'm going to go to 8 receivers, and I'm going to try to take 2 Saints at receiver at the end. So right now for the Saints, we know that it's going to be starting Chris Olave, obviously, Rashid Shaheed, obviously. The third spot's up for grabs. Right now, Cedric Wilson is leading the pack there. Bub Means starting on the NFI list keeps him sort of at bay as a not terribly high talent guy. I think in this build, I could take A.T. Perry and Cedric Wilson, the guy who's currently starting out of the slot, assuming that he does come back, and he should, and then try to corner the market with his last spot on those 2 receivers having production that doesn't go Olave's way, doesn't go Shaheed's way. A little thin. But I think when you have the car stack, I think this is one way to try to do this and make sense of it. And give us a third game stack. That's the other part of it. But we'll see what we get back. Why do you need to stack for the third QB? You just need a guy with a pulse in week 10. Fair way to look at it by Mr. Patrick here. You want it if you have it. So basically, because I have Carr, I have Devontae Adams. I guess if you're saying I didn't take Carr, it'd be a different thing. But let's say I take Carr and he's the guy who's got a pulse for week 10. Because I have Adams already, I want to have that third game stack because having 3 game stacks gives you 3 cracks at having that outlier upside in week 17. So right now we have bets that that's that Cleveland. We don't really have a bet on Miami, but we have a bet that Cleveland is scoring a lot in week 17. We have a bet that Chicago and Seattle is going off in week 17. And we have another bet that New Orleans and Las Vegas is going off in week 17. So the hope is that one of those actually does go off and you build out the game stack in the hopes of accomplishing that. That said, I fully agree. As I said before, do think that A.T. Perry and Cedric Wilson is a really thin double stack. But I was maxed out on tight end. Juwan Johnson doesn't make sense. So I have to make the bet somehow. And that's how I'm going to choose to make the bet. But I hope that makes sense. You may disagree still. Could take last round Josh Reynolds and go Bo Nix. Ugh. If I'm not making a bet on the young guys, I just don't want to make the bet on Denver. Like it's either Cortland Sutton for me if I want to make the very median projection bet, or it would be going the way of one of those other guys, one of the young guys, the Mims, the Troy Franklin. Reynolds is okay. I legit think he's only had success in the NFL with Jared Goff for a reason. But people may feel differently. Like he was really bad. For what was the team that he was on? Where they basically didn't even want him and they weren't going to use him anymore before he had to go crawling back to Jared Goff on the Lions. Checking it now. Who do you play for? Tennessee. Yeah, he was useless in Tennessee. He had 10 receptions on 13 targets for 90 yards in 5 games. And they signed him thinking he was going to be a dude. Josh Reynolds to me, just the guy. He should have stayed tethered to Jared Goff forever, really. Miami wide receiver. I'd like to corner the market on the Saints one more. I guess you could say that I have the bet. Malik Washington. People like Malik. I think Odell, to me, also viable play. Cedric Wilson. I still think it's Wilson for me. It could be one that bites me in the ass. I do think Malik Washington is talented, but I just don't think he can beat out Taj and Odell for enough snaps to even matter in to matter in week 1, let alone week 17. But my final team here, you may disagree. Think of Miami receiver, though. To Adams' credit, a good thought. I think to have the bring back for Cleveland, I think is a logical way to do that as well. We have a 3-5-8-2 build here. We have Deshaun, Geno, Derek Carr, David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, Chase Brown, Jerome Ford, Jaleel McLaughlin. So a little bit lighter at RB than I would like, but I feel like we've got guys kind of locked in the roles in the top 4. McLaughlin's going to at least be there. Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Romo Dunze, Mike Williams at a discount, pretty big discount, A.T. Perry and Cedric Wilson, and close the loop on that New Orleans stack. And Mark Andrews and David Njoku are our tight ends. So again, really feel good about tight end. Receiver, feel good about the top 4 especially. And then beyond that, I think we can get some spike weeks, get some flex weeks and all that. That's how I'm viewing that. But guys, go check out bestballoverlay.com if you are drafting on a laptop. Getting this as part of your process is a big part of things. It's going to help me out a lot down the home stretch drafting here on stream. Of course, you can manage your exposure, see the week 16 and 17 matchups, along with week 15 if you really care about that. Check it out, bestballoverlay.com, promo code SPLASH. Again, Underdog, the site we play on, you guys probably deposit on there already. But if you haven't, use promo code SPLASH on there. But $250 in bonus cash going your way if you do. And, of course, a lot of new stuff on there. There's Streaks game where you can make a bet every day, and then it increases, and it's like 1,000x for 10 days hitting in a row. If you enjoy that kind of stuff, it's like, it's a little bit mainstreamy in a way. Some of you guys might be a little bit questionable of the EV, to be candid about it, but still fun stuff. They're doing different things on Underdog, and I give them the full credit for it. Of course, Probably's my baby. Check it out at probably.com. Get a 7-day free trial, probly.com. Stochastic as well. Get 15% off with the promo code SPLASH on there. And last but not least, Drafters. Great site as well if you want a little bit of a break from Underdog. If you're close to maxing DBM and you want to make sure to capitalize on all the news we're going to get over the next month, go do it at drafters.com, drafters.com. Use promo code SPLASH on there for a $100 deposit match. Thank you to all the fine folks who joined the channel, along with our guy who joined earlier today, Tim. Appreciate Tim being here as well. You too can support the channel, $4.99 a month. Get my rankings exportable to Underdog, along with 275 plus blurbs. You also get 10 team reviews a month for me and a VIP Discord. You can join down below for $4.99 a month. And I'll be back tomorrow, guys. I know people are probably seeing if I'm going to do the second draft, but trying to pace myself here down the home stretch, one a day besides probably Fridays. So come back tomorrow, 11 a.m. for another draft. I'll see you guys then. Enjoy your days. Gamble responsibly too. Enjoy your days. And of course, good luck. Bye-bye.